a boy who in his teens started selling sunfish. In his 30s, he sailed with a friend on his Catalina 27. In his 40s, he bought a Hobie 16, which he sailed every year at the beach for a week. Also in his 40s, he bought a Catalina 27, followed by a Morgan Out Island 41. He sailed the Morgan Out Island for more than 16,000 miles until his 60s when he sold it. He then bought a Hobie 21 SE, which kept him happy for a while, but then he bought a Beneteau 50.4, which he started sailing, and he's sailing it by himself. So sailing solo at 70 is me, David Fansler. Only now I'm 71.
Well, I'm just in the process of leaving Algeria. It was an interesting experience. It's not the United States, that's for sure. My stay, well, I stayed on the boat the whole time. I wasn't allowed off. They took my passport, so I couldn't go anywhere. I was going to outrun them in my sailboat with no fuel. Speaking of fuel, I thank the Algerian Coast Guard. They donated basically 2 tanks of fuel to me, almost 400 liters worth of diesel. I only had 50 euros on me, $140 US in credit cards. This is a simple country. They do not take credit cards, which, sometimes isn't a bad idea. They are a cash-based country. And the 50 euros would have only given me 150 liters of fuel. So they were very, very kind to donate almost 400 liters of fuel to me, and I thank them for that. They were nothing but courteous and kind. I was honest with them as I am with anybody, and they were honest with me. And I couldn't stay because I didn't have a visa. Now, as I understand it, most countries will accept passports in place of a visa, but Algeria is not one of them, and that's okay. Every country has its own rules, and we should not judge another country based on their rules versus our rules. Not if they're humane. And they are. They were very pleasant. I spent yesterday afternoon sitting on the deck of the boat with a crowd of people around me that were just curious about the boat and about me. And there was one gentleman in particular who spoke very good English, and I would talk and he would translate. And somebody would ask a question and he would translate it. And it was just a genuinely fun afternoon, human to human. There was no nationality involved in it other than I was from somewhere else, and they, it was kind of a unique experience for them as it was for me. So I handed out lots of YouTube channel cards, and let's see what happens with that. But again, I came to Algeria because I was out of fuel. They provided me a safe harbor. They provided me with fuel, which is just beyond comprehension, and my gratitude goes out to them. And the people, if I had $1 for every time that somebody said, "Welcome to Algeria," with a big smile on their face, I would not have had to take in free fuel. So it's interesting with the visa. My understanding it's a beautiful country to visit, and maybe we'll come back one day. So this is David leaving Algeria, Africa. My heading is northwest, so I'm headed toward Palmyra, an island off the northern coast of the Mediterranean, and also towards Gibraltar at the same time. The wind is not real heavy. As you can see, the seas are very, very light. I'm making about 4 knots under just the mainsail alone, and the weather is supposed to be favorable for the next few days, so we'll have to see. The status of the Iridium Pro the Iridium Go is that later this morning Mary will call their office and get everything back online again. So we'll be able to communicate and my position updates will take place again. So that's it for now. I'll talk at you later. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday morning. I'm 24 hours out of Algeria and made about 100 miles since I left Algeria. So I'm down to 400 miles from Gibraltar, which is a good thing. The wind is a following wind, which is about the fastest wind or the fastest speed the boat can make under the situation. It doesn't have a jib. What I did with the jib, though, I cut it up into usable pieces for patches and stuff, but one piece I used to make a new bimini. Since the old bimini got shredded in the last storm, but this is not a bimini, this is a jibini, a jib bimini, so jibini or something like that. What the heck? Anyway, I'm pretty pleased with it. I've got one more section to sew on. There's 3 tubes that run over, and so I've got to sew it onto that one the way that I've done to the back tube, and then it should be fairly secure. One thing I had to do this morning, of course, which I have to do virtually every morning I'm out here, is get my morning collection of squid. How these things end up on the boat, I don't have a clue, but I mean they end up inside the cockpit. So I'm going to take one of them and put it on my hook for my fishing lure that's still following me. Yeah, I'll call it in. Come on, boy! Maybe he'll come in a minute, and I'm going to put it on the hook. Maybe that'll be an additional attraction to some fish. I mean, if there's any fish out here in the bed, I'm not convinced there is at this point. The only thing I've seen were those dolphins earlier on. But we're making good progress. Hopefully we'll be there in another 5 to 6 days, maybe this weekend, depending on if the wind, I think, is supposed to pick up a little bit, so we may start making some additional speed. So anyway, it's a comfortable ride. It's a little rolly. Let's see if we can do it from this direction. Here we go. So you can see the boat is kind of rolling around a little bit, which is what happens to a boat when it gets in a following sea. The sea is actually, the waves are running faster than the boat itself, so it goes up and down, and if it's not in perfect line with the waves, then it gets that little bit of roll, and that's what's going on now. You can see the waves are coming off the side of the boat, not directly behind the boat, because, well, that's not the way the wind's blowing. But anyhow, that's this morning's report. Film at 11. Well, it's Tuesday afternoon, and a little while ago I examined the weather, in particular the wind, and what it's forecast to do. And if I had kept on the course I was going, just north of west, it would have been against me or not in my favor sometime tomorrow. But if I headed due north, then it would be in my favor tomorrow. So I made the change in my heading, and I'm headed more or less due north at this point. And so tomorrow when it changes, we'll still have favorable winds to continue on to Gibraltar. I don't know if I mentioned that I got my Gibberny, whatever it is, finished. The jib used to make my bimini. There's some loose pieces over here on the sides, but they don't worry me a whole lot. It does give me a lot of coverage, and it's very bright under here. With a dark colored canvas, it's dark under here during the day. But this is very, very nice. I like this. Got a halyard banging for some reason. The squid has not made a difference with the fishing lure. It is still dragging along with nothing going on behind it. Let's see if I can zero in on it. So, you know, that's kind of it. The boat's not quite as steady as it was with the waves coming off the side now, and that's causing the boat to heel over and also to rock as the waves passed underneath it. Here comes one, so we're going to straighten up and then we're going to heel back. Well, call me a liar or make me a liar. So anyway, the passage is going very well. I'm pleased with it. I'm making between 4 and 5 knots. I don't have any complaints about it. I wish it were faster, but without the jib, it just is not going to happen. And let me give a quick explanation for that. In olden days with Columbus and people like that, when they came across with square sails, they were counting on the wind to push them forward. A modern sailboat does not do that. A modern sailboat, the sails are shaped like an airfoil. If you think of an airplane wing, the bottom of it is more or less flat, and then the front, it rises up and then tapers down toward the back. And that shape gives it lift. It causes a high pressure under the wing and a low pressure above the wing, so it pushes the wing upward. The jib does basically the same thing for the mainsail. It captures the wind and forces it through between the mainsail and the jib at a high velocity, which creates a high pressure in that area. So in front of the jib, it creates a low pressure that pulls the boat forward. So that's why a modern sailboat can sail very close to the wind. This boat, 40 degrees or so, but some of the more fancy boats can probably get up to 30, maybe even 25. But that's why the jib is so important. It's not really the sail area when the wind is coming off anywhere but from behind. Now, if it's coming from behind, yes, it's going to be just like an old square rigger where it's pushing it along. And the more sail area you've got, then the faster you're going to go. But if you're trying to sail into the wind at all, you really need a jib to help cause that aerodynamics to take place, a low pressure in front of the boat, and the boat is pulled forward into that. So anyway, there's the physics for the day. And I'm gonna go look at some more video footage that I took and see if I can find some good stuff to show y'all. Well, it's 4:30 in the morning on Wednesday. I was sleeping soundly and suddenly awoke to the sound of a change in the sails. That's something that I'm very attuned to. If there's a change in the sound of the sails, then the wind has changed or something has changed, and it's time to get up and see what's going on. So I did, and decided that, well, first off, I needed to start the engine because the batteries were down to 11.7 volts, and at 11.6 the alarm starts screaming. Then the other thing was that I kept seeing flashes of light out of the corner of my eye from behind me, and it was like, what's going on? And finally I turned around in the direction that I needed to look, and it was lightning. It looked more like heat lightning than anything else, but being the prudent sailor and heeding by the old adage, An old sailor reefs early. And what that means is that you reduce the size of the sail. And that's what I've done. You can see that the sail is only going up to the second spreader. That's that wing-like thing coming out. It was much higher than that. The next level of spreading or of reefing that I can do is to take the sail down. But this is a small amount of sail up, so we should be good with this. If we get into a storm or something, I'll probably take it the rest of the way down, depending on how bad the wind's blowing. So anyway, that's what's going on at 4:30 Wednesday morning. Well, good Thursday morning to you. This is a strange time for me in the Mediterranean. The sea is dead calm. There is no wind, and I'm having to motor. I've motored since last night. So David O'Kelly, you were correct. I could not make it without motoring. I accept. I apologize. You were right. I hate it when I do that. Some sad news. My Lobo lure disappeared overnight. I have a feeling something rather large snatched it, because I had it on 33 kilogram test line, which equates to 70-pound test line, and it snapped it. So Lobo Lures, I owe you an apology from Dave's Fishing Tips. It did catch something. I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave the ad up as it stands because it was funny. Yesterday was laundry day. I washed my undies and my socks and my blue jeans. I'll work on shirts today. The AIS is not working. It was working when I was in Lefkis because one of the people there said they saw me on it, but it's not working now. So I have a feeling it was the closeness of proximity that they were to me when they detected it versus the ships that are out here in the ocean. I'm working on that with, I've worked on it with a couple of freighters that passed by. They conversed with me and helped me to see if they could see it or not. I'm now in conversation with the people in China who made the unit, email conversations that is. I've got about 200 miles to go to Gibraltar. Yay, that's a lot better than the 1,300 to 1,400 miles I started with. My one working refrigerator has died on me. It comes on for about 10 seconds and then goes off for 30 and comes back on for 10. And so hopefully it's just low on Freon, and once I get to Gibraltar, I'll have them look at it and hopefully get it fixed so that I can have milk and mayo again. I'm without mayo. I am distressed. I started to hit the SOS button a few minutes ago or yesterday when it quit on me and tried to see what's going on. Yeah. Not much else happening at the moment. It's fairly calm out here, like I said. I spend my days reading and napping. I sleep at night down below, but I don't sleep probably that soundly because I'm alert to what's going on with the boat. And so I nap a lot during the day, and that helps me stay refreshed. I love reading, and I've already been through one series that has 10 books in it, I think. I'm working on another one called Honor Harrington, which is in the future, and it's about a young lady who becomes a captain and then goes on in a space fleet. Written by the same guy that wrote the other series I was reading, which is Safehold. So that's basically how I spend my days. I have no snacks on board the boat to speak of, other than some dried fruit that Mary Mac decided that I needed to have. But the problem is it's loaded with sugar, and if I eat too much of it, my blood sugar tends to go sky high. So I don't eat too much of that. I think I'm probably starting to lose some weight because I'm not snacking. I only have water on the boat. There is no sodas of any type. I do have Earl Grey tea, which I do enjoy a hot cup of every once in a while. So anyway, we'll catch up with you later. Bye.
So these were the first images that I saw of the coast of Spain. It was early in the morning, gray sky, hazy, and again, notice surrounding the Mediterranean are mountains. So this is my final sunset. It's Friday evening, my final sunset before I reach Gibraltar, and probably my final sunset in the Mediterranean. So as I approached Gibraltar, I ran across this photo opportunity with a catamaran that was overtaking me. Too good of an opportunity to pass up. And right after the catamaran was this beautiful Muslim mosque, sitting right on the edge of the sea. It was quite a sight to behold. After passing that beautiful mosque, I pulled into the harbor of Gibraltar and into the Algeria marina, where I have this beautiful view of the Rock of Gibraltar in front of me. I have covered 1,300 nautical miles in just 2 weeks and spent 3 weeks in Sicily, so I've been gone from Greece for 5 weeks now. My next step is to wait on the Genoa to show up and install it, move the jib tracks, and then I'll be ready to take the last leg of my journey back to the U.S. and back to home and Mary. Stay tuned, I'll have one more episode before I leave, and then there'll be probably a 5 or 6 week delay until I reach America for the next episode. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you feel like it. Hit the like button too.